Hi everyone, it's Kelly here from spiritualawakeningsigns.com, coming to you today with our new masterclass. So this is Awakening Your Higher Self, how to clear blocks, connect with your eternal inner wisdom, raise your consciousness and align with your true higher self. Now it sounds like something that is relatively easy to do, and it can be if you know how. So we're going to cover everything that you need to know to make sure there are no blocks in your way whatsoever in really connecting with this eternal higher aspect of yourself. It's such a huge benefit in your life and in your awakening too. So let's dive right into what we're going to cover. So today we're going to talk about what higher self really is, what that actually means, and how it differs from the lower self or the ego. We're going to talk about why your higher self can help you to really break through barriers in your life. It's going to elevate your everyday life vibrationally. So let's dive right in. You're gonna love it. So one thing that I want you to take away from this entire masterclass today, if there's only one thing that you take from this, it would be that your higher self, that eternal true self, the wise being within that lives guided by intuition and heart, it's calling you now. Okay, and this might have been happening for quite a bit of time, especially if you are on the spiritual awakening pathway. It's something that's been kind of nagging at you and maybe just kind of starting to move under the surface there. But despite the call that we all get when we go through awakening and your best efforts, connecting with your higher self is probably one of the toughest milestones that you'll go through on the awakening process. It's a really difficult milestone to reach. And that's because there is a definitive block to accessing your higher self's wisdom that's going to stop you in your tracks, no matter what different technique you use. Okay, this is what we cover before we use the techniques. Otherwise, the techniques really don't work very effectively. So it doesn't matter what type of meditation practice you use, mindfulness, shadow self work, like whatever it is that you're using to access that, it's evidently not working, or you would be there by now. Okay, so there's that ego block that comes in, and this isn't your fault. It's something that happens to all of us. It's a natural part of the system. But the problem that you've got is when you're trying to access the higher self's wisdom, the ego doesn't want you to go there. It doesn't want you to go there. It doesn't want you to listen to any sort of higher vibrational guidance or higher aspect of self. It only wants you to listen to the ego. That's all it wants, is listen to the ego. And because the ego is largely it's a human protection mechanism. If you really get down to the core, it has got a purpose. People demonize it, but it has got an important purpose. Any attempt to access something more intuitively guided is going to be blocked by a sort of desperation by the ego to really maintain control over you and everything that you do. Okay, so it's a bit tricky. So most guides will tell you to meditate, they'll tell you to do yoga, use mindfulness, shadow self work. Those are some of the examples that I gave to connect with your higher self. But I'm here to tell you the truth, that the ego will block this connection no matter what technique you use. And it will do that every single time unless you actively tame the ego enough for your higher self to come shining through. When you do that, you will break through barriers that you've been facing in your everyday life, possibly for your entire life, and the limiters and those sort of repetitive patterns that we get, repetitive problems that keep cycling around and around, they'll start to dissolve because they will be cleared with a different energy than the approach of the ego, which is usually fear-based. It's avoidant. I don't want to go there. I want to protect myself from this or that. So with that opportunity, the opportunity to be unbound by life's physical and emotional restrictions to a degree, you can find your true self, you can let it radiate out, and you can really start to understand your life and soul's purpose while you're here too. So let's talk a little bit more about exactly what the higher self is, because I want to make sure that we're getting a really clear understanding on it. Everybody's got a slightly different perspective. So at the core of your being, there is an eternal source of infinite wisdom, clarity, authenticity. It's the higher self. That's where your higher self resides. And a lot of spiritual traditions consider the higher self the truest essence of you, the truest essence of each individual. It's an infinite wellspring of wisdom, clarity, spiritual guidance, and it transcends the limitations of our mind, our body, our everyday selves. This is something deeper, something different. And the higher self is considerably special because it is free of the masks that we wear in our daily lives. It is entirely separate from the ego. It's a completely different thing, and it holds the keys to insights and inner peace, which can be very helpful on the spiritual awakening journey, because it's a really tough pathway to follow. However, amongst all the overwhelming hustle and bustle, the distractions of modern daily life, connecting with this higher aspect of self can kind of feel like you're hopelessly looking for a needle in a haystack, and we struggle with things like self-doubt, societal expectations, maybe even some past traumas. There's demands of work, relationships, personal obligations, and there's this constant inner chatter in our minds. That's probably one of the most difficult things to overcome, is just that constant chatter that goes on within. And it can kind of cast shadows over our ability to fully embrace our higher self, because it creates barriers that really stop us from experiencing the richness of your higher self, the true connection to that. And we might start to question, am I worthy of it? Do I know how to do it? Can I let go of old patterns? Can I let go of what no longer serves me? These things all come up when we start to connect with higher self. And the sad thing is that the beauty of this, and the reason why it's so special, it lies in the journey itself. It's not really about the destination, and I know so many spiritual people will tell you that, but it's really not. It's about who you become in the process, how much more you can align with your higher self as you continue on that journey. And that's the special thing. That's where you really see improvement and growth, and you get a sense of real accomplishment from knowing that you are fully embodying who you are, the true aspect of who you are. And the thing is, it's not just about deciding, I'm going to connect to my higher self and it's done. It really requires a willingness to explore beyond the surface layers of your identity, of the masks that you wear, of who you think you are. It's challenging, but it's so rewarding, so rewarding. It's a very transformative experience, and it ripples through every aspect of your life, and it can bring huge benefits with it, and really can help you to view your truest, highest, best self, and you'll get a lot of insights along the way, which I think is really powerful, because it's very difficult for us to actually access those insights and that spiritual guidance effortlessly. Let's just say this can really help to do that. So we'll talk about it